Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you here today with an article from the Federalist. This is dated May 26th, and you've probably seen some news about this recently, I would guess. And it's specifically in regards to the Federalist itself. It says 12 times the Federalist called out Biden's decline when legacy media wouldn't. And I'm sure it's not just the Federalist really saying this. It's kind of, all of us. And here's one of the things. I actually made one of my stupid little 10 a.m. Central Time in the morning clip videos about this sort of thing with Biden tripping and falling over himself when it happened. This was 2 years ago, probably, something like that. But anyway, let's go ahead and get on here with it. It says many Americans, including those at the Federalist, recognized early on that Sleepy Joe was incapable of serving as commander-in-chief. We kind of knew that before he was even elected, or, elected, as I say with bunny ears. So it says, after spending years calling Americans crazy for believing their own eyes and ears, the nation's propaganda press are finally willing to admit that Joe Biden has been suffering from serious physical and mental decline. Of course, these self-professed journalists, and scare quotes as it should be, aren't doing this out of the kindness of their hearts or some feeling of the need to repent from their dishonest ways. Instead, their brave and noble effort is designed to help their hacktastic friends, good word there, hawk their new book, and that's the Jake Tapper, Alex Thompson book, which promises a behind-the-scenes look at the cover-up they all participated in. Right, we're going to tell you things that you already knew happened. It says, but unlike the country's irreparably broken media, many Americans weren't fooled. They, including the Federalist, recognized early on that Sleepy Joe was incapable of serving as commander-in-chief and likely wasn't the one running the administration. So, as further proof that the media was totally complicit in the Biden cover-up, here's a handful of the many examples of the Federalist reporting on what has arguably been the biggest presidential scandal in modern U.S. history. So let's see how many of these we all remember as we go through this together. Starting with number one, it says Kamala Harris's role in the cover-up. This Federalist senior contributor Chuck DeVore called out Vice President Kamala Harris for being complicit in helping the administration hide Biden's decline in the months leading up to the 2024 election. He argued Harris is fully complicit in the administration's manifold national security failures, including the most dangerous threat, covering up the extent of Biden's mental decline. And what is this linked to here? Oh, just basically what it says here. So, but yeah, she was always going out saying he was totally fine and basically doing cartwheels and backflips that just nobody could see, and somehow he just couldn't do any of that when he got in front of people, in front of the public. So yeah, we all remember that. Number two, NPR, because of course it's NPR, runs defense for Biden's frailty. In August 2023, weeks after Biden took a dive at that year's Air Force Academy graduation ceremony, which was the picture at the very beginning that I was sitting on for a little bit, Federalist staff writer Jordan Boyd highlighted how taxpayer-funded NPR attempted to sanitize the Biden administration's permanent switch from the 18-foot staircase traditionally used by presidents boarding Air Force One to a smaller set of steps. And they did something with his shoes too, it wasn't like lifts or something, but they did something to his shoes as well. So, because they were like, oh yeah, he trips and falls a lot, so we got to do something with his shoes to help him, something like that. I don't remember exactly what. But says NPR tried to reassure Americans that their commander-in-chief, who has suffered several notable spills in recent months, forgets certain people have died, and speaks in lies sprinkled with gibberish, is just taking normal precautions to avoid bad optics, Boyd wrote. Then there's the Air Force Academy stumble that was just mentioned. So speaking of Biden's tumble at the 2023 Air Force Academy commencement, the Federalist exposed the media for attempting to run interference for the then president's fragility. 4. Age matters for Republicans. Days after the November 2020 presidential election, the Federalist reported on how Washington Post hacktivists attempted to espouse fake concerns about Donald Trump's age in the lead-up to the contest, all while dismissing concerns about Biden's age and the Delaware Democrats' obvious decline. And the Democrats are still kind of doing that now with Trump, saying he's in decline. It's what are you looking at? Okay, you're obviously lying, but it's just the stupid thing that they do. 5, Easter Bunny Bouncer. Oh, I think everybody remembers this. Says throughout American history, there have been presidents who have been shot, assassinated, and have honorably served in the military. But how many of them can say they've been wrangled by a giant Easter bunny? Well, just one, but let's see what it says. It says the Federalist Kylie Griswold underscored the absurdity of Biden's giant furry friend, no, not Hunter, nice, displaying man-to-man defense during the 2022 White House egg roll to stop the dementia-riddled president from saying something stupid to the press, which, let's face it, he kind of did all the time anyway. In April 2022, Griswold wrote, "This all raises the obvious and alarming question. Who is in charge of the greatest country on earth right now? Because it sure as heck is not Joe Biden." And number 6, and this still pisses me off, is his lackadaisical Maui fire response. Like, those folks got hosed in Maui, and there's something wrong with that. It says, following the devastating Hawaii fires that ravaged the island of Maui in summer 2023, God, that was 2 years ago already, Jesus. Says Biden has had to be effectively dragged from his luxurious vacation to address the massive humanitarian crisis. I remember that. He was on, when you spend 40% of your presidency on vacation, odds are when something happens, like a crisis, you're going to be pulled from a vacation. But yes, I do remember that. This is the Federalist reported on how, even after landing on the ruined island, the puppet-in-chief babbled on incoherently about a small kitchen fire at one of his residences years prior and threw out a few lackluster jokes. Not cutting that out. But I remember that too, where he went there and he decided to, like how he makes everything about his son Beau dying tragically, which it is. I mean, die of cancer in like your mid-40s, it's just, that's awful. But I mean, yeah, I do remember bringing this up, and it's like, dude, these are not the same things. Like, an entire area of an island going up in flames and a small kitchen fire are not the same, like, at all. Number 7, the Hur Report. Says the Federalist reported extensively throughout 2023 and 2024 on the investigation by Special Counselor Robert Hur, wow, tongue twister all of a sudden, which confirmed what many Americans already knew, that Biden was, and still is, senile. Despite evidence suggesting the Delaware Democrat mishandled classified materials, federal prosecutors declined to bring charges because they believed Biden would likely present himself to the jury, as he did during our interview with him, as a sympathetic, well-meaning, elderly man with a poor memory. Number 8, it says, a welcome mat for Chinese aggression. In June 2023, the Federalist highlighted how Biden's obvious decline incentivized Communist China to ramp up its aggressive behavior towards the U.S. and its partners in the Indo-Pacific. As the author, not me, Jason, because it says as I, previously wrote in these pages, every public display of Biden's fragility is another indication to Xi Jinping and the CCP that America lacks the effective leadership necessary to confront China's growing ambitions. Number 9, who's Lloyd Austin? I remember this too. It says March 2021, so that was 2 months after he took office. As the Federalist reported on how Biden seemingly forgot the name of his defense secretary. That wasn't seemingly, he did forget his name. 10, Biden's Air Force One tumble. I remember that too. It says, when Biden unexpectedly fell multiple times while climbing the stairs to Air Force One in March 2021, the Federalist was there to expose the Biden administration and the media for being complicit in covering up the president's frailty. Whoa, kind of a yawn there all of a sudden. Stifled that, and I'm not cutting that out either. Number 11, 2022 blunders. Just following another year filled with moments of confusion, the Federalist compiled a list of Biden's top 10 blunders of 2022 that prove he's in cognitive decline. I wonder if I did a video on that, or no, wait. I think that's too far back. Or was it? Yeah, it's too far back. I wouldn't have made a video at that point. I wasn't doing this at then. Just wondering. And I've made one of these a day, so kind of lost track of what I've done. And finally, number 12 says Sleepy Joe takes a nap. In October 2022, the Federalist Ellie Purnell documented how Biden appeared to doze off during an interview with left-wing MSNBC. She further emphasized how corporate media attempted to downplay the incident. Was that the one where he fell asleep was it actually on Nicole Wallace's show or something like that? Or is that a different one? I mean, again, there's so many to choose from. Who the hell knows? Says Biden's track record notwithstanding, regime-loyal media were happy to bury the story of his most recent televised gaffe, ignoring the president's cognitive deterioration after spending 4 years screeching about his predecessor's mental state based on far flimsier evidence, Purnell wrote. And I'd say no evidence, but that's it. So how many of these do you remember, these situations here? And we'll just end it with the picture showing of his Air Force Academy fall, because I think we all remember that. But let me know how many of these you remember, and feel free to add any more in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.